How's it going, everybody? I am Donut, and this is a Black Lives Matter, all cops are bastards, and when I say all, I do mean all, and trans rights supporting channel. If you don't support that shit, you can get the fuck out of here. This is Black Panther. What do I know about Black Panther? This is actually one of the movies that I actually know a little tiny speck more than most movies, I feel like. And I don't really know anything about it. I know that the main villain's name is Killmonger, and I know that the main villain is as justified, maybe more justified than the main character, or than T'Challa. I don't know why I said the main character. Yeah, that, I don't really know anything specific about that. Just that, that is, this is one of the movies that, does that a little bit more. Which, I mean, Spider-Man was a little bit, I wouldn't say it was, more justified or justified, but, I like that some of the MCU movies are slowly, trying to do this a little bit more, and they're not being so extremely generic as they were early on. And so the fact that I have heard that about this one gives me high hopes that it's being done in an even better way than Spider-Man was. But yeah, so I am a little, if you want to call that being spoiled, then I guess I'm spoiled on that. But yeah, that's the only thing I know. Other than that, no idea. Predictions for the movie. Is Bucky going to be in this? Are they going to wake him up in this movie, or are we going to hold that off for Infinity War? And this is the last one before Infinity War, so is this going to immediately tie in? Is this going to end with Infinity War about to happen? Or is there going to be, you know what I'm saying? Is this going to end in the exact same basic place that Thor Ragnarok ended? Or is this going to end before that, and we'll time skip to that at the beginning of, or that will happen at the beginning of Infinity War, and Thor just shows up during Infinity War, maybe? I think that's my prediction, so I don't think this is going to end in that spot. Prediction for this movie is just a lot of stuff going on Wakanda, and it's going to be kind of isolated, and like Thor Ragnarok. It's just going to be kind of isolated and not really too connected with the outside thing. Who is going to, if there's any Avengers, or I should stop saying that because that's not, what is the Avengers at this point? If there are any movie characters that are going to cross over, any heroes, quote unquote, who do I think would be in this? That's a hard one, actually. Maybe Cap, but I don't know about that. I honestly do not know. I can't think of anybody. I think this might be one where we just stick with just T'Challa the whole time. I don't know who else would feel like it's fitting for them to be here. Especially in Wakanda and everything. So I don't know, unless Bucky gets reawakened, but I don't think that's going to happen in this movie. So be totally self-isolated. I'm not really going to even try and guess about the plot. I have no idea. Let's get it. As always, let's give you the classic MCU plot, assumingly of we start with a small villain that we handle, that works our way into the big villain that we have to, deal with. That's kind of the general always plot, but I'm not going to guess more than that. So let's just get into it. If you want to see the reaction, check it out in the description below. It's the full length reaction. That's the only thing. It's synced up. You don't have to download the movie on your end and sync it up or anything like that. It's picture in picture. Click play, and I got it all synced up for you. All my reactions are that way, so if you check out the Patreon, if you're interested in some of the TV shows, I'm doing all of the Marvel TV shows as well, so, all this stuff. You don't have to sync it up. It's all picture in picture. It's only $4 a month for that sort of stuff, but for this, it is free, so go check it out in the description below, and, do that. And then come back here for the discussion. That's the important part. Okay, we are here for the discussion. My shoulder is killing me. I have hurt my shoulder recently. Got through in the movie, but for this discussion, I gotta have a heat pad on.
Yeah.
Also, if you see me, cringing or something, that's why. Okay, so we are here to talk about Black Panther. I think it's hard for me to say this is my favorite MCU movie. It feels tied with Spider-Man.
Okay.
Because, Spider-Man is very, very fun. And it has a good drama to it too, but mostly it's very, very fun. It is the best fun movie in the MCU. Whereas this is the best drama movie, it's the best action movie, it's the best plot line that we've gotten in the MCU thus far. But I wouldn't say like it's the funnest movie. You know, it's not as far as the fun scale, pretty low. But I don't know if I would say it is my favorite or not. But it's definitely like right there, tied with Spider-Man at the very least. I should say Homecoming is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I should be obvious and going through these in order, but in case
yeah,
mention that just in case. But yeah, where does this rank for you?
I'd say it's very high up there. Like, before you started this project, I hadn't really seen a lot of the MCU like very freshly.
Sure.
So I have been kind of going through it with you, and I'd say Black Panther might be number 3 or number 2 for me.
Okay.
Like, I still like...
Is this with everything I've seen thus far, or are you counting everything?
I'll say everything you've seen thus far.
Okay.
Yeah. But, like, even including the other stuff, it doesn't change that much.
Sure.
Like, it is a really good movie.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure, Endgame or Infinity War might beat out it, but we'll see.
This was also the first MCU movie not involving Iron Man in any way to break $1 billion.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, it got a lot of buzz for that specifically. Like, being, like, not the debut of a new character, because he did show up in Civil War first.
Yeah.
But, like, this is his first title movie. It is a big, fresh thing. Like, it's very unconnected from a lot of the other movies.
Yeah.
And yet, like, it did it really, really well. And I would say it is the general consensus that this is a really good movie.
It did, what am I trying to... The Civil War, did that one break $1 million?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. I don't think of it as a Iron Man movie, but I guess it probably was pitched as an Iron Man movie. Whereas me going into it, I wouldn't have known Iron Man would have been in it at all in any way.
Like, it is pretty generally seen as Captain America, Iron Man, like 50-50.
Yeah.
Which is also, that is how it breaks down, more or less.
Yeah, pretty much. But okay, anyway, where do we start discussing this movie? One, the action, once again, I've only seen Spider-Man in this one, the only two that have really done action this well, where the camera follows the action, even like on I talked about the shot the MCU loves to do of a big clash happening, and then we just do a camera pan through it, and like around it and stuff, and they did a lot of that in this movie, but in a much different way, closer towards what Spider-Man does, where we are following the action. We see a character do an action, they follow through with an attack. Once that action has happened, then we move on to another character doing an attack, then we move on to another character, rather than going through them as they're doing an attack, and then we just move past it. Yeah, it's a subtle difference there, but it actually makes everything feel like it's like you can actually see what's happening, you can tell what's happening.
Yeah.
You know where the fight where they were with the deal with the vibranium with Claw and everything. That was probably like the best fight in the movie in terms of like choreography and everything. It was, even though the camera kept moving around everywhere, it was so clear where everybody was, what was happening, like where the different parties were. That was extremely well done.
This movie has a big focus, like, or rather, out of universe, like in terms of directing.
Sure.
There's a big focus on lighting, and specifically a lot of not natural lighting, but like real lighting, even for scenes that are very, very CG.
Okay.
And a big part of that is the Black Panther suit is very, very dark.
Yeah.
And B, all the characters, like almost every character in the movie, is African or African American.
Sure.
And like you can't do.
Oh, I said sure. Like, yes, obviously.
You can take my word on this one.
But yeah.
But yeah, like traditionally Hollywood's had a really tough problem with lighting, like especially like African people.
Sure.
And just dark people in general, like, don't get great treatment when it comes to lighting.
Yeah.
Like, there are movies that are very, like, black person-centric, where they still light it like a white person movie, and as a result, like, things are really washed out, and it looks really weird.
Yeah. A lot of old movies like that, too.
Yeah. I mean...
Like, I'm talking, like, extremely old.
Yeah.
They had a big problem about that. That's why I have a hard time watching a lot of old horror movies, is just because lighting is so, like, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing with lighting.
Yeah.
And so, especially like black horror movies where it's like a lot of main black characters, and it's just like, they just didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. So they, like, really, really overdid it, quote unquote, with the lighting in this movie. They made it very clear that, okay, you need to be able to see what is happening at any point. All the people have to be lit in a way that makes them look good. Like, that is a big thing that most people don't pick up on. But I do think that also adds to a lot of, like, the choreography and stuff, because...
Oh, yeah, it helps.
There's a lot of focus not just on the people, but then also in, like, like, the car chases and stuff. Yeah. Everything is lit in a way that makes it very clear what you're looking at. So,
yeah, 100%. And, at some points, like, the train fight is very, like, badly lit in the sense that, like you say, it's not natural lighting. It is, like, there is a lighting source there that isn't in the actual environment there at all.
Yeah.
But and there was a hell of a lot of problems with that in Thor Ragnarok too, where it felt like the lighting that was in the environment wasn't actually affecting them at all.
Yeah.
It was actually the opposite problem. But yeah, I feel like with that, like, because the fight scenes are very just like show a attack for 5 seconds and then cut away, or pan through a bunch of stuff happening, but we're not really like seeing much of it happen. It's very kind of disconnected in it. You're not willing as much, at least for me, to be like, oh, this is really cool. Whereas stuff like Kamen Rider can do the wonkiest, worst CGI in the world.
Oh, yeah.
But you go like, oh, hell yeah, I'm getting so hyped when they drive a motorcycle up a fucking wall and do a flip and everything. And it's like, because it's so over the top, and because it's, just because by that point you are more into the characters and you're more willing to like go with it and everything. Whereas I feel like with Ragnarok, it's a little bit, they're still trying to make it a little bit normal. Like, even when they're fighting with spears in this, it's very over the top, very magic-y kind of. Like just in their movements and everything, very, very acrobatic. Whereas in Thor, it's very war. It's very like just like clunky movements and stuff. And it's not, when it's bad CGI, it's just not that fun to look at, because it's like, this doesn't look any cooler because it's CGI than if it was a person doing it. Whereas a lot of the CGI in this, a person cannot do.
Yeah.
So that's why you're more willing to go with it. I think I've worked through it in that, like, what I'm trying to work through it in my own mind. Like, what is the difference?
I think that's a really clear way of putting it.
Because it's also, I'm trying to work through this as someone who has no idea about any of the behind the scenes shit about this at all. So I'm trying to like guess, like, is it this? Is it this?
And yeah, like, from what I understand, like, that is why there are some scenes in the movie that have very, like, Kamen Rider CG.
Oh, yeah.
It is because, like, they're focusing so much on the practical stuff and so much on, like, everything else.
Yeah.
That, whereas, like, also, important to note, like, not the entire cast, like, not the entire crew above and below the line, but most of the crew was black. Like, they made a very clear
I didn't know that
effort.
going into it.
Yeah. Which also means, like, there's a lot of voices that usually would not be in a movie doing stuff in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does seem like there was a good divide of the, again, I'm guessing entirely here, but it does seem like there's a good divide of the like, groups, or, like, the divisions of the team. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, all the heads are allowed to do what they're doing, rather than, like, the ones where the director is a very big, influential director and wants to have the final say for everything.
Yeah. Like, Ryan Coogler, the director, is... Like, from what I've heard about Black Panther in particular, it seemed like he was much more about making it a good movie than making it, like, his very specific vision.
Yeah. I think the best director has a really good vision and trusts the team to get it done.
Yeah. Because a big part of it is also, he wanted to really commit to what Stan Lee and Steve Ditko also wanted to commit to when they made Black Panther, which was Afrofuturism.
Okay.
The concept of, like, what is the future of, like, the African community minus any colonization?
Sure.
Like, Wakanda is this bubble of, what if these people were allowed to develop, but there is no, like, trade between other people? Like, the only person who has, like, a t-shirt on is, Shuri. Everyone else has, like, very much, like, it is, like, it isn't... I'm trying... Like, how do I put this? It isn't traditional outfits. They are all modernized. Or, like, they all have something new to them.
Yes, but it's not really modernized in the
it's not
Western
modernized.
way.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Because I don't, like... It is all modern.
It is traditional stuff done to a... Like, with material and in means that you wouldn't be able to do through just traditional means.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. I struggle to think of it a lot of time because I also have the problem of when I think modern, I do think Western.
Yeah.
And that is explicitly against the ethos of Afrofuturism. It is...
Very Eurocentric, yeah.
Yeah. You get a lot of, like, really cool stuff in the movie that they never explain. Like, like the meeting room where all the tribal leaders meet in, where the entire room is glass, except for the part where they sit on, which is this, like, normal, raw, like, red dirt.
Yeah.
And it's, like, a perfectly square bit of dirt that doesn't, like, get onto the glass or anything.
There's so much stuff like that. All the sand that never gets anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an inherent futuristic concept of, it's sand, but it doesn't get everywhere.
Or, like, every building has some sort of greenery on it, whether it is like trees on the balconies or whether it is like moss and vines running up them.
Yeah.
But it isn't like a this is overrun. It all clearly looks like, yeah, this is how it is designed.
And I like that vibranium is, you know, much different than what we think in a way that I would not have been able to think of. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, vibranium is a metal, but it's like, okay, it came here on a meteor and it interacted with the plant life, so it's like the heart-shaped plants and everything is vibranium.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, assumingly, like that's why they have like the gigantic rhinos and everything, is because even the animal life was infused with vibranium and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is like all Wakandans infused with vibranium. Is that the lip thing, or is that something they do at birth? You know, I don't know. The fact that it glows makes you think that that is vibranium inside them.
Yeah. Like, a really cool part of their technology really is that up until now, in the MCU, vibranium has been Captain America's shield, unbreakable shield that he can just kind of do crazy stuff with,
Yeah.
and Ultron's main body, which we barely see him really do anything with. It was just kind of like a stronger robot.
Yeah.
But in this movie...
And it was like all the all the vibranium in the world.
Yeah. Remember when Claw stole all the vibranium? But yeah, in this movie they have so much stuff where they can, like they can make a whole car out of vibranium, and like they can make the glass vibranium.
Yeah.
And it is this thing of like, yeah, they've had this for thousands of years. They've had it for way longer than anyone else has. Of course they can do things with it that we can't even imagine how it works.
And because of the way, you know, when it's first like, oh, a meteorite came down, and then they're like, oh, we have like, you know, a whole mountain of it and everything. I'm like, how much can that really be? But then we actually like see inside there again. Like we go down the first time, and I'm like, okay, yeah. But then the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, is that all vibranium? And the more we see it again the second time, it really solidified with me that, like, what the meteor did was just send out this property into that area. So like all of the ground is kind of vibranium. More, or like it changed other things in vibranium rather than like that meteorite was all the vibranium there was, which also like, yeah, makes it to where it's like they have barely even scratched the surface of how much vibranium there is.
I mean, a big part of it though is literally just how much is in the meteor. Like, it's so much.
Sure, but it is also all underground. A lot of it's all underground, so it has to have like done some sort of like, I mean, also vibranium is not just a metal. It isn't like a thing. It is a property. It seems like, you know, it went into the plants, it went into, you know, stuff. So it seems like vibranium is a plant, and what they call vibranium most of the time is the vibranium metal.
Sure.
Or vibranium rock, or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not sure how the MCU is doing it, but I will say, in 616, they've explained that vibranium is also, like, radioactive, in a sense.
Okay.
So, like the heart-shaped herb, for instance, in 616, is an herb that's been mutated with the power of the vibranium.
Isn't that a property then?
It is, but it is a like, you wouldn't say the heart-shaped herb is vibranium, but rather it's been modified by it.
Okay. I guess that is what I'm saying too. But isn't it like the metal was it changed by it? Or are we saying that all the metal is the meteor?
In 616, it was all the metal is in the meteor.
Okay. It doesn't seem like that's what they're doing here.
Yeah. Like, with the big impacts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is supposed to be more of a, it also did change some of the ore in the ground.
I think so, yeah.
I can see that.
Is the sand thing a thing in the comics? Or should I not know that yet?
I believe they have technology a lot like that, where it is, like, essentially it's vibranium sands.
Okay, that's what I assumed it was, like, vibranium sand.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, the sand thing I think was the coolest technology thing. Like, the vibranium stuff was all great, but I think this most specific stuff, the sand thing was so versatile, so unique.
Yeah.
Really loved that.
Like, it is such a cool aesthetic, too. Because we've seen so many holograms in the MCU. And these are not holograms. It is physical. It is an actual thing.
I imagine it is like each of the sand particles vibrating in a way to form the chair, to form the whatever it is forming.
Yeah.
I assume that's how it works. But, okay. We talked a lot about generic or general stuff, not generic, general stuff in the movie. Let's dive into something specific. What do you want to start here? Actually, you know, I know exactly where to start. Let's start with T'Challa.
Okay.
Going into this movie, I was a little bit worried that T'Challa was going to be kind of samey or kind of boring, like most of the MCU heroes we get, where they're all kind of tell the same sort of story, and but I really appreciate that even though there was still a lot of the other characters were more interesting than T'Challa, I think. He was still very, very interesting. One of the most interesting heroes that we've had, and has a great like dynamic playing off everybody that doesn't just feel like the same as everything else. Again, like Spider-Man did. Where a lot of the other characters, have that sort of like they feel like they're all being written by the same person,
right?
Vibe. Whereas, I feel like Spider-Man feels unique. Black Panther feels unique. Who else feels unique? I mean, Tony felt unique at the time, but I mean now he just blends in with everybody else.
Yeah. Like, a big problem with a lot of the other characters is also, we've seen them in a lot of team-up movies.
Yeah.
Where, like, Spidey and Black Panther both appear in Civil War, but they're so, like, we don't see a whole lot of them in Civil War.
Yeah.
So it allows their movies to flesh them out way more.
And all the characters had a lot stronger voice in their original movie than they did when they started getting the team-ups and everything. T'Challa does not have this much of a personality in Civil War.
Yeah.
So, but I was worried about that. I'm glad that, even for the solo movie where they all have a little bit more personality, or distinct personality, I should say, that I thought this was very strong in that, especially with his sister.
Yeah.
Like, the family stuff. I feel like a lot of the family stuff is kind of like, it doesn't work for me too much, but the family stuff in this worked for me. I held like all the family stuff, whether it be the sister or whether it be T'Chaka or whether it be, everything going on with Killmonger and that family side of things.
I'm going to hit you with a little bit of a curveball.
Okay.
But I think we should do it now.
Sure.
So, you saw Inhumans.
I did. A
lot of people have compared Black Panther to Inhumans.
Oh, yeah. I want to as well.
In that, where you got, like, the royal family, you've got some, like, intrigue within the family. They are a hidden civilization who need to keep themselves hidden, but they also want to do stuff on Earth.
Yeah.
So... I guess what I'm asking for broad strokes, which one is better?
I mean, do you need me to tell you?
I need you to say it.
It's Black Panther, of course. But yeah, I felt that the same thing watching the movie. I wasn't going to bring it up because it's just like, no need to bring up Inhumans here. I'll bring it up in the discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is so similar, as you already mentioned all the similarities, but it's... And this one has a much better message to it as well.
Right.
The message of Inhumans is so colonialist and so just real messed up.
Yeah.
And it is the exact opposite ending of this movie, where they do lock the person, like the antagonist, in a place for assumingly eternity because they have so much food and water and all this stuff. And yeah, like it's just and in a way where it would be impossible for them to be rescued.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a much love this ending a hell of a lot better, and I love that ending. I love Killmonger's ending, like to his character. What a good I almost teared up at the that just means so much to me. I would rather die than be imprisoned, rather die than bondage, and all that. I cannot imagine how much it would, I mean, there was so much stuff like that, or the, talking about Killmonger talking to his, father on the astral plane about, Wakanda, and just everything about Wakanda with Killmonger is so emotional of a, I can't even imagine what it would be like being a poor black kid, reading Black Panther comics and, dreaming of what that would be like in real life.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking getting emotional again. But if I'm getting emotional, I cannot imagine what it was like for some other people in the movie.
There are so many good reactions from black folk, whether it is just looking at the trailer of Black Panther, or whether it's talking about it, or when they got back from the movie itself. There's if you haven't watched any of that on YouTube, you gotta.
Yeah, I got to as well.
Yeah. But, did you catch that the end with Killmonger is a direct parallel to when T'Challa captures Zemo at the end of Civil War?
What do you mean specifically?
It is this... It's meant to be this echo of, with Zemo, he didn't respect him, so he was like, no, you don't get to die, you have something that you have to do instead. And then they bring that up...
Okay.
Yeah, and then they bring that up later in Korea. When he mentions, by the way, CIA guy, I gave you a Zemo.
Yeah.
It is a direct parallel to...
Yeah, when you were saying the ending, I wasn't sure what you, specifically were referring to. But yeah, that was one of the problems I had at the end of Civil War, especially with T'Challa, where I was like, Yikes, man! I thought you would be better than to just throw this guy in prison forever, you know. And I'm glad that we sort of like reconciled it at the end here, and I think that going forward he wouldn't do the same thing. But who knows? But I want to hope that going forward he wouldn't do the same thing.
Like, I think a big part of it is also context. Like, I think a big part of it was that he did respect Killmonger, like, as a general person. Like, not in terms of his specifics. Like, he doesn't agree with Killmonger.
Yeah.
But by the end of the movie, he does understand that, yeah, we've got to open up. We've got to, like, do something about the world. He was right that we have this power and we should, you know, liberate people who are oppressed.
I mean, that's not really what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they're taking small steps.
Yeah. Like, it's less of a liberation and more of a assistance.
Yeah, I'd say that is it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't really know exactly what, you know, like, them saying that it's an outreach program could be more of a front than, you know, what it actually is. Yeah. And it could be more actual liberation and stuff. We don't fully know.
Yeah, we don't know.
So, it's hard to really talk about that. And I'm going to hold off talking about that until I know more about that in a future movie.
Yeah.
Because right now, everything I'm going to talk about is too up in the air to say anything concretely. But I am glad that going forward they are at least, you know, being more open about this, and we'll see, you know, how that goes. That's as much as I'll say. So yeah, where do you want to? Killmonger, like for as little screen, like I don't know if I would put him as high up on like my favorite villains list, and I think that is because it's the same reason why, you know, I'm glad Shield's in canon anymore, but still, like Cal Johnson in Shield. I never really considered him a villain, so it's very hard to list him on my villains list, because even though the show treats him as a villain, I didn't. Right. Now, Killmonger is a little bit more villainous. Like, he... Like, everything that he says you can kind of agree with, but then the ways that he goes, like, he has the very, like, I want to be the last king, and not really. Like, at first that's what I thought the, you know, thing was with the heart-shaped lilies burning and everything like that. But it does seem like more... I don't know, was his main goal to destabilize Wakanda, or was it to take over Wakanda and actually liberate everybody? Because Ross was saying like he was doing that to destabilize Wakanda.
See, the way I saw that, and this is dipping a bit into Ross himself, is that like Ross is partially in the movie because the movie creators wanted to do something with the CIA going into African countries and destabilizing them.
Okay.
And like,
well, but I mean, like, they didn't do anything really like that.
I mean, that was a like not for Ross himself, but with like Killmonger. Like that is his MO. They did talk about it briefly.
Yeah.
That like the CIA trained him to do this, and this is like it is the classic problem in real life of we made these terrorists to destroy this country. Oh no, they're still around. They have our guns, and now they're attacking us. How could this happen? It is like.
But yeah. Did Killmonger himself personally want to destabilize Wakanda?
I believe so. Or rather,
why?
Like, I believe it is this, like he was corrupted by the path he took in order to get to this point.
So, like what do you think his end goal was? Like, what is his future world that he wants?
His future world, as I see it, is, like... the oppressed are now the oppressors. Like, take everything from Wakanda, remove it from Wakanda, put it out into the world wherever there are black people, arm them, give them strength, have them, you know, overthrow their own countries.
Okay, so, like, you think his main thing was, like, break up Wakanda in order for...
Yeah. Like, the way I see it is, this is, like... A lot of the movie is different people saying, we made this monster, he's one of ours. Yeah. And I do see it as, like, he isn't just, you know, the sins of Wakanda. He's not the sins of the CIA. He is all of them.
Sure.
Like, he has this, like, this is what the world gave him. He didn't have anything else, but he's good at killing, and he learned how to do this. And now he's going to do it to Wakanda, and then using that strength, he's going to do it to everywhere else. Like, it is just a pattern that he has learned.
Okay, I guess. That was the only part of him that like makes him not one of my favorite villains.
Yeah,
I don't really fully get why he wants to, like, especially why he thinks he would need to when they have all the material to be able to do both.
Like, at the end of the movie, or near the end, they also do the classic, like, Kingpin from Daredevil move, where he does just straight up say, you know, the world took everything from me, so fuck the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do see it
They
as
have to
like,
have the kick the dog going.
yeah, so I do see it as like 90% like this is a rational plan, and then 10% like he also does want to destroy Wakanda a bit because this is, this promised land that he never got to truly be in.
Yeah.
And we do see that in the movie itself. Like, he does not take the time to stand on a mountain and look at it until he's dying.
Yeah.
Like, as much as he is the king of Wakanda, he immediately goes into, all right, we're going to move these resources. Like, he starts enacting the plan instead of like chilling with it or like reveling in his victory or anything.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like I do see it as a very tragic part of his character.
Sure, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it really does affect me whenever we see him as a kid looking up and seeing the Wakandan plain.
Yeah.
Because there is this, like, one of the themes of the movie was this idea of like being the descendant of a slave in America and knowing about your history but having no possible way to interact with that history.
Yeah.
And that shot is meant to symbolize that in a like, I can see this, I can see Wakanda, I can see this technology from Wakanda, but it is completely out of reach to me. I can't.
That is really impactful.
Like, I can't access it. I can't get revenge. I can't do anything. My dad is dead in the apartment, and I can't do anything. I gotta just try and survive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. Like, God, it affects me so much whenever they do a hard, like, contrast with the Killmonger. Like, when we, like, for instance, like, whenever we see T'Chaka, he tends to have very, like, traditional African music
Oh, yeah.
around him, whereas with Killmonger, it's always, like, rap or hip-hop.
Yeah, every single. Yeah, I like also like when we went to Korea, getting the what it was Psy and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the mix of like we were getting Korean music, but it was still getting like Korean hip hop and everything.
Yeah. Like, all the music was very deliberate in, like, for the soundtrack, for, like, the not vocal songs, it is a lot of, like, we're going to time this to this character. Like, the Queen Mother has her own sound.
All the soundtrack of this movie was incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
It is so perfect. But yeah,
Absolutely.
like, God, it also really hits me when Killmonger goes to the Ancestral Plane, and, like, with T'Challa, it is just, like, ground, big, glowy world around him. With Killmonger, he's in the apartment, but like one of the first shots you see is him like walking to the apartment. The windows are the Ancestral Plane, like Ancestral Plane's right outside.
Oh, I didn't actually notice that.
Yeah, like it isn't. It is that in his interaction with the Ancestral Plane, he can only see it the way he sees it. Like that is his reflection
through the
soul.
window.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow, yeah, and like also like him being there as like his older self, and then going back to his younger self the moment he, like his father actually appears and everything.
Yeah, and when he takes the the stuff that his father hid from him, it is at a level where like Child Tim could have also reached it. Like he doesn't reach up for it. It is a very clear this is almost certainly what he did when he was a kid and he saw his father dead.
Yeah, but yeah, I love the kid thing because it is a very like he is still a kid on the inside. Like he has not been able to grow up from that traumatic event.
Yeah. Also, like when he's going through the notes, like you can see the moment when his father is radicalized by the paper itself. Like when he switches from writing in like traditional fonts to flip over, it's in English now, and it is also more radicalized. Like you can see that like in the paper itself as the moment when his father went from like I'm here as a spy, as a war dog, to I can't be a war dog anymore. People are suffering here. I gotta do something about it.
Yeah, and man, I'm not sure what more I can add to it, but just all the themes of the like leaving the people behind who are suffering outside of Wakanda was really powerful. Like it just such a good storyline, the best storyline the MCU has done. It's gonna be hard to top it. Even for like a Black Panther 2, it's gonna be very hard to top it.
Yeah, that has been a general criticism of the comics in that early Black Panther was T'Challa. Like, T'Challa has Wakanda. Wakanda is the reason why he has a secret identity, essentially. Like, they can't know he is the king of Wakanda because then the world will know, okay, Wakanda has to have some shit.
Yeah.
So he would just go out as Black Panther and like join the Avengers or like, fight bad guys as a like, this is all we can safely do. I can personally go out and risk my life, but we cannot let anyone know about Wakanda.
Yeah.
But there was this undertone of, well, there's a lot of people suffering all around you and you're pretending to be poor farmers and like you're getting aid and stuff and like you're refusing it, but still, like, it's kind of messed up. And the movie takes that and makes it like the core of the movie itself.
Yeah.
Like it confronts us head on, and like that allows it to do something that would be pretty problematic, but it does it in a very like, it's like that for a reason.
Yeah, especially with like having an entirely African cast and all that. Like not entirely, but mostly. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about, so I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, mostly.
But yeah, I think it helps a lot with that.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to talk about? Two main characters.
I mean, we could talk about Killmonger for days.
Oh yeah, I mean we're gonna be talking about it more, so let's move on. We're gonna come back to it.
Mm-hmm. So I would like to jump to the other main villain, who is of course Claw.
Yeah, Claw.
So, how'd you feel about Claw in this movie?
Was absolutely not expecting to see him again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they needed him.
Okay, so, like, from Killmonger's perspective, like, this is as chronological as I can see.
Sure.
So, he knows pretty early on that Claw is, like, the one enemy of Wakanda that Wakanda has not taken out. Like, he's the big ol', like, I stole this vibranium.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's public enemy number one. No one has ever been able to do anything about him. So, Killmonger sees that and he goes, okay, I need to get the Claw. But in order to get to a position where I can, I'm going to join the military, fight in Afghanistan. Like, that was all the killing. The killing was to get to a point where he could then go undercover and meet with Claw.
Okay, yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then, like, even going through the deal, like, that was because he was a CIA operative. He was working with Ross.
Right.
And all of that was just to get to a point where he could then, like, kill Claw, and then use Claw as his way into Wakanda.
So why couldn't he have killed Claw before, like, at the deal? Like, I guess he would be too worried that that Wakandan would be able to, like, just take the body?
Yeah. Because, like, the real crux of it is, like, he knows as well as anyone else that an outsider's not going to be able to get in. Like, he's not going to be able to get to the point where he can show that he has the War Dog tattoo. So he needs a big in to make it clear, like, I am a friend of Wakanda. And the only thing from an outsider's perspective that could do that is Claw's dead body.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it also does seem like him knowing Claw was a very short-term deal. Like, just this one thing. Like, the fact that he was able to give him the artifacts.
I guess, yeah. It seemed like they were just walking and talking for so long before he killed him that it really felt like it was a spur-of-the-moment thing when it wasn't.
Yeah. And I do think, like, part of that is also he wanted to make sure the Claw didn't, like, register anything. Like, even with his girlfriends. Like, Claw clearly thought that was, like, they were a Bonnie and Clyde deal.
Okay, yeah, that's fair, yeah.
So when he shoots his girlfriend, it is very clear, like, oh shit, I didn't really think you were going to do that. I thought this hostage situation was going to work.
Yeah. Fair point, okay.
Yeah. Like, it might not be 100% perfectly efficient, but I can see why he would do
I can
it like
see
that.
it too now. I can see it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Claw was so much wackier than he was in the other stuff. It really seems like he has truly lost his mind. But yeah, I don't know what more to say about that.
Yeah, I will say that Claw fits a lot of Afrikaner stereotypes, like a lot of like South African Dutch guy vibes.
Okay.
Like all the stuff with like the SoundCloud and like how wacky he is, and the whole like I can see you through the mirror. Like a lot. I can't nail down anything in particular, but I've been told a lot of that stuff is very much like specifically African people's perspective of Afrikaners.
Okay.
Like a lot of actual like South African Afrikaner stuff is more like, we're very cool. We are struggling in this country full of, bad people. We're just trying to make it work. Whereas a lot of Africans are like, these people are crazy. And I do think Claw gives off that energy of, like,
he does.
What it, like, to the point where, like, when he talks to Killmonger at the very end, he's like, oh, I thought you were just a crazy American. But it is a very clear, like, no, you are absolutely
the crazy
bonkers.
one.
You're the,
Yeah, I'm really liking the MCU's, like, new love with just crazy side villains that just, like, are have a hell of a lot of personality for being so side.
Yeah, because I think also he serves a very, very important plot in the movie. Like, the movie does not work without him.
No, no, no.
But at the same time, like, he's not overshadowing Killmonger at all. Like,
Yeah.
it is a very clear, he is the tier 2 villain. And, like, I think they walk a good balance of, he's a tier 2 villain, but at the same time, I can understand why it is that Wakanda hasn't been able to take him out. Because...
and he's got a lot of protection as well.
Yeah, he's got protection. He was, like, right after this deal, he was going to lay super low.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he's not a super badass who keeps on doing this stuff all the time.
Yeah, you get it. You get why he's not been caught. It does make sense.
Mm-hmm. That's the only problem I have sometimes with the crazy villains, where it is like you are insane. How in the world do you not get caught if you're just like shooting people in clubs and stuff?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But all right, what do you want to talk about? Like all the tribes and stuff.
Yeah, I do. So none of the tribes are real tribes. Like they walk the line of.
I didn't really think that.
Yeah, like,
especially with their names being like the Border Tribe and everything like that.
Yeah.
I do not think there's like some African tribe called the Border Tribe. I'm sure they would go with the
Yeah.
real name if they were doing something like that.
Yeah, and they want to do a real there like a lot of people in the production are like related to various tribes, but we're not going to steal their culture.
Yeah.
Like these are all going to be like. They're going to be like the tribes in the comics, but we're going to just make them more realistic, and we are going to like consult with actual African artists and experts in order to craft these tribes that feel like they would make sense, while also giving this energy of like they really wanted to avoid the problem of all Africans look the same or like they're all interchangeable.
Yeah,
they wanted it to be a very
clear different designs and everything.
Yeah, and they are just like these random tribes that were just in this area when the meteor struck.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, so it is this sheer like Africa is so big and so interesting that you can take these this random grouping and have them live together, and they're still so distinct and so interesting.
And then you have the four of them, and then the Jabari. Is that right?
The Jabari.
Jabari being like more like the outsiders, even amongst these five.
Yeah. So, by the way, some people do get very confused about this. There are 5 tribes, and the king is not part of one of those tribes.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't think that.
Yeah, like you got the king and his family are the Golden Tribe, also known as the Panther Tribe.
Okay.
And the king has intermarried with all the other tribes.
Okay.
Even in the long past, it was supposed to be also with the Jabari, which is why anyone can be the Black Panther. And
gotcha.
And if you become Black Panther, you are now Golden Tribe. Your family will be Golden Tribe. It is this so it isn't a strong these people are the true royals. Anyone can be a true royal.
Yeah, I thought it was more just like a. That's kind of how I thought it was. You are just anybody until you decide you want to be with one of the tribes. I thought the tribes felt like they were more like jobs.
I can see that.
Because especially with Okoye was kind of implying that she had become part of the what was that?
The Dora Milaje.
Yeah. Well, that's not a tribe. That is
they are the Royal Guard.
So is that part of the Golden Tribe?
They're associated with them.
Okay.
They all have the same look. They all have the same Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe never mind about that then.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I thought it seemed like they were able to pass between the tribes and everything, but maybe not. Either way, I didn't think that they. Either way, I didn't think that T'Challa's family and all that was part of one of the tribes.
And to be fair, it doesn't seem like anyone is upset with their job.
Yeah.
So I imagine they're even if you can't officially do it, there's definitely intermarriage and stuff. That's probably fine.
Yeah. They definitely seem to be who was it? It was Okoye, and who was the Border Tribe main guy?
Border Tribe main guy was Wakabi.
Wakabi. Yeah, it seemed like they were, a little upset about the long distance, thing. But aside from that, it's not like anybody was really upset about their job or anything like that. Yeah. Which is, of course, to be fair, solely a writing choice. You know, you just write them that way.
Yeah.
You just write. You can easily write a series and say, "Oh, the slaves love being slaves." Yeah. But it does seem like it's everybody in Wakanda is flourishing, and even if it's there is this richy looking place and this more it's not even there's no poor looking place in Wakanda. It's just more rural versus more city.
Yeah, and also most of the rural places we see are owned by the Border Tribe.
Yeah.
Because they have the job of, like, we're going to be around the borders. If anyone comes to the borders, they're going to see us. They're going to go, like, okay, this is all Wakandans.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about
Yeah.
that.
That's also why, like, when we see the plane coming down and it's not cloaked, usually that is near, like, a member of the border tribe.
Okay.
And, you know, they look very rural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, that is, yeah, because I was like, how would they, they never, like, we never see it, like, how you really cross over. Like, we only see it in the plane the one time.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if it's technology you can just walk across, but if you can just walk into Wakanda by accident, then, yeah, it makes sense to have, like, the border tribe and everything.
Yeah. Like, it is this strong combo of the border tribe. Also, like, they're the ones who have the cloaking technology and the, like, big shield technology.
Yeah.
Which is
oh,
why...
that shield technology was so cool, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just, like, straight up magic. That did not look like science in any way, but I totally am fine with it. It was really cool.
Yeah. Which I do think that's a cool double purpose, because that also means, like, if it is a thing where you need technology to get in and out, it's like, of course, only the border tribe would really need it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I assume probably the Golden Tribe as well, but...
Yeah.
It's probably assuming all planes would be, have that function.
Yeah, so Border Tribe is inspired by the real-world Kingdom of Lesotho, which is a, like, mini nation within South Africa.
Okay.
Sort of like how the Jabari are, like, this micronation in Wakanda.
Yeah.
Border Tribe's color is blue. They have wood grain textures on most things.
Okay, yeah.
And they breed the white rhinoceros eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the Masu tribe, who are the merchants or the makers. They are based on the Tuareg people of the Saharan and Sahelian regions. So more northern Africa.
Gotcha.
Their color is purple, and you'll mostly notice them in shots because they have, like, they're the only ones who wear veils.
Right, yeah.
They wear wraps and stuff around them. Zuri, like, I'm not totally sure what's going on with Zuri, because he wears the red of the mining tribe, but when we see him at the Black Panther, like, ceremony, he wears a big purple thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He was wearing red. When was he wearing red?
He was wearing red when T'Challa goes to him and asks, like, what was going on with my uncle, or why did Killmonger have that ring?
Oh, he was wearing red there.
Yeah,
okay.
he's wearing red.
I didn't even notice that.
He's wearing red, and also he is, you can tell where the mining tribe is because they have the red soil.
Okay.
So, like, the red soil that the leaders are on, like, that is presumably from mining tribe territory.
Mm-hmm.
Also, whenever they, like, when they're planting the heart-shaped herb, that's red soil.
Yeah.
When they bury the next Black Panther, that's red soil.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so I wonder what is going on with that.
Yeah. Like, they kind of just left it there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mining tribe is responsible for all the vibranium and also all the other ores mined in Wakanda.
Makes sense.
And because the heart-shaped herb only grows near vibranium, they also are traditionally the ones who take care of the heart-shaped herb.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. We just said that basically.
Yeah. I was also thinking that, like, this isn't a thing I saw in, like, the art book or anything, but the heart-shaped herb is purple, which makes me think that might also be why Zuri was wearing the big purple shawl, as a, like, I'm the one who, I'm going to take away the power, I'm going to restore it.
Yeah, like, purple is the power thing.
Yeah, which is also interesting that the makers use purple as their color.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Like, maybe they were the first ones to harvest the heart-shaped herb or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Considering it's more of a mining thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
The river tribe is, like, their traditional color is green, and they wear, like, river and shell-based textures on their habits and their fabrics.
Yeah.
The river tribe leader is the easiest one to spot out, just, like, at a distance, because he has the big ring.
Body modifications,
yeah. They are inspired by the Suri and Mercy tribes of Ethiopia, and they live along and control the main river of Wakanda.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, they're the ones who handle the water. Also, when, like, a new Black Panther has to be, has to go into combat, they're the ones who stop the river and dry up that one area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. They feel very river valley, inspired.
Yeah, like, a lot of these do feel very, like, this may have been what their tribe was doing prior to the meteor, but also it does fit very nicely into the overall way in which Wakanda works.
Yeah.
And then, separately from everyone else, you got the Jabari, or the Mountain Tribe. They're inspired by the Karo of Ethiopia and the Dogon people of Mali.
Okay.
And their traditional colors are brown and white, in honor of the white ape. They are the only ones, like, every other tribe at least pays some deference to the Black Panther Basts,
Yeah.
but the Jabari specifically rejects both the Black Panther and also vibranium. So, like, that's why they have no vibranium technology at all. Instead, it's all, like, wood. Their thing is wood.
Yeah, they're very, like, primitive. Like, actually primitive.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, like, I really appreciate that despite rejecting vibranium technology, they still have a very clear, like, Afrofuturist aesthetic to them.
Yeah.
It's less futurist, but it's still futurist. Like, it is this... Like, I really do love the main chamber that's, like, the main chamber we see with all the hanging, like, wood slats on it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, his main plays.
Yeah. It's got a cool vibe to it.
It does. It's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very interested where the Jabari are going to go going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, they are the only ones who are, like, you know, they are very primitive to the point where, like, are they rejecting the medicine? Do they have their own kind of medicines that are equally as good? If that's the case, then it's a little bit more, you know, medicine is really the only thing that's, like, that they should be, you know, integrating more with the other places. But, so I'm interested to see where they're going to go going forward with.
Also, we don't really know the history. Like, we do know that for like hundreds of years, the Black Panther has not come to Jabari land. They've never gone to the mountains to talk.
Yeah, which is why it seems like there's something more to it.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big focus in the next one, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Also, in addition to speaking Kosa, everyone in Wakanda speaks Kosa as, like, their main language.
Yeah.
The Jabari also speak in a Yoruba dialect.
Okay.
So, it is like this... In the main movie itself, whenever the Wakandans go places, they use Kosa as this, like, no one speaks this, so we're going to use this to talk to just each other. And then the Jabari, inside of Wakanda, can do that using the Yoruba dialect.
Okay. Was that also the, chanting that they were doing?
I'm not sure about the chanting.
Because, yeah, that seemed very specific to them as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That scene made me fucking crack up laughing when Ross just starts talking and they're just all like, you don't talk, you don't talk. God. It was so intimidating. I would shit my pants if I was in that situation.
Yeah, I really love the aesthetic of the Jabari. Like this, like they're all about power and strength, even though they don't have vibranium technology. Like that makes it more powerful.
And they're vegetarians. Yeah, they're vegetarians even though they are in the coldest climate possible.
Yeah,
which means I don't know how we're vegetarians.
Yeah, I mean they've got to be doing a lot of stuff. Like I hope Black Panther 2 does give us like more of a view in the mountains, so we can see what's going on with them.
It was also such a good when we see like the big gorilla like head on the side of the mountain and everything. I was like, okay, they have like a tiny place or whatever, and so when they surround it and everything, but then when we see the whole place, I was like, oh, I did not realize they had this big of a place.
Yeah,
I thought we were implying they were just like in some tiny little area. But yeah, it is like it really makes them feel separate because it is like there's seems to be this one little connective pathway between the rest of Wakanda and where the Jabari live. But yes, that really sold the separateness.
Yeah.
Alright, where do we go from here?
Actually, like, as we're talking about the Jabari, I do want to bring up M'Baku.
Okay.
In that, like, I really love his vibe. I was very worried about how he would come off as, you know, as the separatist, as the, you know...
Sure.
Yeah. But I'm really, like, I love how alpha he feels. Like, not in a shitty way, but in a, like, he does have this strength that doesn't feel like he's putting it on or anything. It's a very confident strength.
Yeah, and very respectful, too. I like to see, you know, where they're doing the whole ritual and he turns away from it and everything.
Yeah, and he makes Ross also turn away.
It's not even that he makes Ross turn away, but that he turns away and then just emanates this aura that makes Ross be like, I guess I'm turning away, too.
Yeah, like... I think also the fact that the Queen Mother is so scared of the Jabari really sells that, like, he has this very intimidating strength to them, and they, as a tribe, do feel very mysterious. But I think a big part of that is that the Black Panther has just not visited them in so long.
Yeah.
That you build up this fear of, like, what are they like? They must be, like, why wouldn't they not deal with us?
Yeah, and the respectfulness of being, you know, like, you made me yield, so I am going to save your life now. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
you saved my life, but it is you forced me to yield. I didn't want to yield. You made me yield, and I owe you because of that.
I've seen that in so few things.
Yeah.
Because it is that perfect combination of he would have rather died, but T'Challa specifically brings up, your people need you.
Yeah, and that's what he says later on when he's like, no, I'm not going to give you an army. I'm not going to just give my people's deaths to you. Like, you taught me that. But then at the end, it is more of a, like, it's not just about my people. My people aren't just these people.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very nice, like, tying together of themes with Baku.
You can definitely see that as like a microcosm of Wakanda needs to, help the world. In the same way, like, the Mountain Tribe does have to, help Wakanda.
Yeah.
They can't, like... They can't pretend that these problems don't affect them.
It's such a great microcosm of the greater plot.
Yeah. How did you feel about Shuri, by the way?
I really liked Shuri. Like of the characters in this movie, I think Shuri was one of the most enjoyable. Every single time she was on scene, I loved it fully. Probably my favorite character from the movie, surprisingly. But just like, was such a breath of fresh air every time they were on screen. It's so great. Also, just like, even in the fights, was very like I don't know what word I'm looking for. Was just able to hold their own very well, and had a lot of, like, smart ideas and everything like that. And I really liked, like, even though it didn't happen or anything like that, the movie completely tricked me into being like, what are you guys gonna do going up against Killmonger, like, in the suit and everything? This is impossible. You gotta just hold yourselves. Don't try and, like, kill him. Just sort of, like, keep him busy. But then, of course, she is the one who made the necklace. It's like, just take the necklace off and we're good. And it's like, that is a genius idea for a fight. And they do get so close to it so many times.
Yeah. Like, I really am impressed with how they can make the Black Panther feel invincible, but also defeatable in a way that, like, I think the way to handle a character that feels invincible is to give them weaknesses, but not obvious weaknesses. Like, if it is just you punch them much harder, that's not smart. Like, that's not interesting.
Yeah.
But having the necklace be a thing you can take off, and then in the train fights, having not having their powers be stripped away, but just having the suit come on and off is such a cool way to make the fight more scary.
And again, they got me with that, because throughout the whole fight, I'm like, what is the point of this? They're not, like, the train goes by, and while the train's going by, their suits are malfunctioning.
Yeah.
And it's like, but they're not fighting while that's happening, so what's the point? And then towards the end, it's like, right as they go to start fighting again, he waits in that moment to get him. And it's like, it's speaking of the actor from Get Out being in this movie, it felt very much like that scene from Get Out with the door, where it's like do it once, do it twice, third time, I know what you're gonna do, and I'm going to be able to, like, get you. It was both times they got me being like, why is this happening? They're not fighting. And it's him just testing to see how long the suit can withstand it.
The train is also an ingenious way to have two characters that really want to fight. Like, it is a serious life and death battle.
Yeah.
And yet they can also have a moment where they are just standing there and talking.
Yeah, because a great fight has the moments where you fight, then you have a little breather, then you fight, then you have a little breather. And the little breather does not need to be talking, but it can be talking or it can be a breather, either one. But I think a good fight has those back and forths, and not, like... Talking during fighting is the worst.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hate it. It should always be a thing like that where it's a little breather.
I get the appeal of it, and definitely in other mediums like manga, it works a lot better because you're not thinking about the logistics of how this person is saying this whole paragraph while they're punching.
Yeah, and then when you have to watch it in anime, it's the worst.
It's like, oh boy, this does not work if you are imagining these people actually moving.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, something like this train, martial arts, movies get away with a lot of the like figuring out your distance. While you're, they both have like their hands out, slightly trying to gauge the distance of the other. You can have that breather or the talking moment. Yeah. And there was a lot of that in this movie, especially between Killmonger and Shuri and Okoye when they were fighting. And there was a lot of times where it would be big like movements to like Okoye and Shuri would be... Am I saying Shuri, or was that Nakia actually was fighting him?
Who was it?
No, Shuri wasn't fighting him. Shuri was just fighting out on the
Yeah.
like, field.
Yeah, she was also fighting because she was also like telling Ross stuff while she was fighting.
Yes, but that was not. She was not fighting Killmonger. It was Nakia who was fighting Killmonger, right?
Yes, because right. Because Nakia was also wearing she was wearing the same outfits.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay. Either way,
sorry.
either way, they're both like going after Killmonger. Then he'll do something to, like block their attacks or attack them, and then they have that moment where they're like, okay, who's gonna make the next move while we can talk real quick. There's just there's not a lot of that in a lot of the other movies. It's a lot of talking while I'm fighting, talking while we're in a grapple. You know,
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate grapples. I hate tossing. That's the bane of so much movies nowadays. I feel the MCU doesn't actually have a lot of it, which I like. Has it, but not a lot of it.
Yeah.
Of the, like big powerful character, instead of punching or doing anything to hurt somebody, they will just sort of like whip them, to like knock them somewhere or pick them up and throw them. Especially pick them up and throw them on something very soft.
Yeah, it makes sense from a writing perspective as I need this fight to keep on going, but I also need to show something very flashy. And a throw is a big, that person's whole body's moving through the air. It feels very visceral. But if you see it a lot of times, you eventually realize, the throw is actually really bad. Why didn't you stab him?
Yeah, or Daredevil is really good at that. When Daredevil does a throw or slam, because he doesn't do throws very much, he just slams. He'll pick somebody up and go bam and slam him against a wall and then punch him. And that feels impactful.
Yeah.
A lot of throws in this feel impactful because they're picking somebody up and throwing them against something. I'm going to pick you up and throw you against a rock. I'm going to pick you up and throw you at a rhino or something. And it doesn't just feel like I'm going to pick you up and throw you lightly over there into the grass.
Yeah.
A lot of those don't feel like the character actually wants to do any damage, and they just want to, get out of my way. Which can be fine, but in most situations, that's not the context.
Yeah. I really appreciate that when Killmonger throws Black Panther, off of the waterfall. That is a move where 95% of the audience knows for a fact, this isn't gonna kill him. 5% are kids.
Yeah.
But most people know, the main character is not gonna die like this. But it still is impactful. They do shoot the scene in a way where, his family's right there.
Yeah, and when he hits the water, even though he's not gonna die, I winced when he hit the water. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And we didn't even hear the impact. We don't see the impact, but just the moment it's and it cuts to black. I was like, oh, that you could. I think the sound design also of the wind getting stronger, right before he hits.
Also, if they had him wake up in the water and get back to the that would have sucked. I really appreciate that they for all intents and purposes he did die. He was a second away from dying.
Yeah.
Even with the Mountain Tribe finding him, he was still going to die. They let him have a few more minutes of life. If they didn't have the heart-shaped herb, he would have been completely dead.
Yeah.
It was 100% a death from being thrown that high.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that was impactful. Also, that blades felt impactful in this. Whenever a blade actually touched somebody, it made me go ooh, and it actually felt like it was impacting the way they fought.
Yeah. I really appreciate the scene where Okoye is she's in the vibranium car, and they're being shot at, and she's gun so primitive.
Yeah.
And then we see her use her sonic spear, and it's very clear, of course, if you had this, guns would feel primitive, because you can take out a tank with this, you can throw it through a car, and then because it's vibranium, the car will smash through it.
That was so cool!
It is very hard, it's very easy to have a character say something like that. It's a lot harder to show that they are correct.
The cars exploding this movie was so fun. This movie didn't have a lot of funness to it. That stuff was just pure, unadulterated fun.
Oh, yeah.
The car blowing up and her just being on the seat, just
But, God. I also really appreciate all the different types of weapons. Because again, it follows that Afrofuturist thought of if these traditional weapons of chakrams and spears, if that is what you have, and you have this new powerful material that can do kind of anything, with enough scientific information, how does that evolve? Do you end up just having guns? In the outside world, guns kind of took over most countries because they are such an easy cheat to power.
Yeah.
But in this internal country where they also don't have to do a lot of fighting outside the borders, like, what would they develop?
And also, vibranium, you don't really need... Guns are useless against vibranium, and that's really the main, crux of it. Like, if you have strong enough arrows that could pierce armor, then guns wouldn't be as well spread as they are. But the fact that the most arrows can't pierce armor, like, that's why guns started becoming more popular. Bullets could.
Yeah.
Also just because it's a lot easier to kill somebody with a bullet back then than, it is now.
Yeah.
So, like, also, you get a gunshot in on them and you're probably going to kill them, versus you get a cut in on them and there's less likely that they're going to die.
Yeah.
Getting a bullet out is a lot harder.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more easy to get infected and all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, with the absence of all that kind of stuff, with the absence of bullets being a problem, guns, cease to be really that, impactful.
Yeah. God, I'm just so in love with the world building, like, the very silent, like, we're not going to explain this weapon, but knowing that vibranium is indestructible and knowing that, you can store up energy and, like, redirect it, like, with all those properties, you understand what most weapons are. You can go along with it at the very least.
Yeah. And I think, like, even if they had, like, vibranium bullets, like, okay, so you can shoot a bullet through vibranium armor now. Okay, they're just going to take that person to surgery, get the bullet out very easily, and heal them up within a day.
Yeah.
Like, it's not much of a problem. Whereas again, they don't really fight that much. They don't really have a problem with it. But you cut somebody in half, they're dead. You know? You don't have to worry about them. You're going to have a hell of a lot of bullets to do damage to, like, someone with vibranium technology.
Yeah. Like, I think Black Panther's also very well placed in the MCU because, like, the pressure of this movie is the world is finally catching up.
Yeah.
It is a clear, like, the reason why they're catching up is not because they're getting to our world technology. It's because, you have arc reactors out there.
Yeah.
It's because of all this, like, super technology that it has been, it's been developed over the course of a long time. But now is the time when everything's coming out and everyone's saying, like, hey, we have PIM particles, we have arc reactors, we have all this stuff. Like, now the world is finally at a point where they can start to threaten Wakanda. That's the thing. They're not there yet, but it's at the point where it's like, well, we have to start worrying now.
Because even, like, the main thing that was really threatening them was vibranium shit, like the vibranium arm cannon thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, the big threat at the beginning of the movie, and it was pretty much the biggest threat throughout the rest of the movie in terms of, like, the Black Panther suit that Killmonger's wearing and stuff like that. But in terms of, like, a single weapon thing that could be dangerous to them is just something that was made with their stuff.
Yeah.
So it is, if you put, to be fair, I said vibranium bullets aren't, but, like, that is what a vibranium gun is. More just like a sonic thing.
Yeah. Because it also brings up the thing of, if you can redirect energy, it is way better to just, shoot people with pure energy than it is to waste any of your vibranium.
Yeah.
Like, most vibranium weapons are things where, like, if you do throw it like a spear, you're gonna get it back.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not just gonna leave it out on the battlefield.
Yeah. God, I really appreciate how strong Okoye feels.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, like, there's a lot of movies that will say, this person is the head of the Royal Guard, they're really badass, and then they do a fight, and it is a traditional, like, a fight where they do the big punchies, and they're kind of evenly matched with some random goons. Okoye does, like, she dominates so many fights.
Yeah, I know her from Walking Dead, so I immediately was like, okay, she's gonna be a big badass.
Aw, yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have much to say about Okoye. She was nice, but she also was a little bit of just like she is a badass female character, but that's kind of mostly what she is.
Sure.
She doesn't have a lot else going on, sadly. But there was a lot of other, like, great female characters in this movie too. So
yeah, I'd say Okoye and Wakabi are maybe some of my least favorite characters. They got a lot of focus.
Yeah.
And that is because they are very simple at their hearts. Like Wakabi, for instance. Like, his main thing is just, my father was killed by Claw. I hate it. Why is Claw still out there? This is the one, like, he is an enemy of Wakanda, and we haven't been able to do anything with him. What is going on?
Yeah, and it's the thing we talk about a lot of, like, you're more willing to complain about something when it's surrounded by other bad stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas when you have like more generic stuff that's surrounded by good stuff, you're more willing to forgive that and everything like that. So having Okoye and having Wakabi be just they're there and their deal is very apparent. There's not much more than that. It's a lot easier to not easier to go, but like it's just it feels like it's not as bland even when it is. Just because of everything else that it's surrounded by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wakabi also has the most, like, anti-immigrant rhetoric in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, he is the one who's like, we can't let the bad ones in.
Yeah.
We can't let ourselves be found. We could go
Forgot about that.
Yeah. But I think it works really well because it also does show, like, Wakanda is not this monolith, and he is, the head of the border tribe. It would make sense that, like, if anyone is going to be disillusioned toward the outside world, it would be the border tribe, because they're the ones who get photographed. They're the ones who have to look at all this scary stuff. Like, if Iron Man is flying through Africa and blowing stuff up, they're the ones who are looking at that and going like, well, okay, let's reinforce the shields.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, everyone living inside doesn't have to think about it that much.
Yeah. And I was really, like, I was expecting to get more of that. Like, more people that were against this and very, just, like, same mindset as him. But, I'm glad that, like, it was just sort of T'Challa that was against, helping out everybody else. Almost everybody else was kind of for it. And they were just kind of going with T'Challa. Like, most of the reason why everybody was upset with Killmonger was because of the way he was doing everything.
Yeah.
Rather than anything he was saying. And I think that is the most important. Even when he came, everyone's just like, oh, sure, let's do the ritual, get it over with. Oh, it's so boring. But, I appreciate that. That's especially with Shuri being very not Shuri, Nakia being very pro, like, wanting to open up the borders and everything and help everybody. Like, having somebody that close to him that wanted to do that is good.
Yeah. This
also again, the romance in this movie, so, like all these movies, it's whatever. Surrounded by everything else. I don't, it didn't make it much better. It made it equally as whatever.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I've seen enough straight romance at this point. I don't care. It's going to be impossible for me to care about straight romance at this point in my life. I've seen them all.
I am just glad that we had more female characters who, were very competent, who could do cool stuff, and that balances out. Like, I'm not saying that, like, there's nothing bad with having a character who doesn't really do a lot. The problem is having one female character who represents all females in your movie.
And then having them not do anything.
Yeah. Or, like, even Black Widow, who does stuff, but then, like, a lot of what she does is seduce people and do her signature move, which is grab her vagina and smash it onto someone's face and do the big spinny.
Yeah.
Like there's a way of objectifying women that I think Hollywood's really gotten down to a pat of. Like, you look at it and you don't, like, you do understand this is objectification, but you don't think about it. You go like,
you pass it all.
Yeah, like, this is cool because we have one woman in this movie. It's Black Widow. She got to do something cool. Thank goodness. I really appreciate that this movie doesn't have to do that. Like, this movie just has good female characters all throughout.
It is very. Yeah. I don't know a word for it. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not like every other shitty movie.
Yeah. Like, Nakia in the comics was allied to Killmonger. Okay. So, as a comic reader going into the movie, my thought process was, like, is she going to flip? Like, especially because she's one of the early voices who says straight up, like, we should, expand outside the borders.
And when you get the early movie voice, almost always it's the flipper. But that turned out to be Wakabi instead of her.
Yeah. And I appreciate that because I also get Wakabi and, like, I don't agree with him.
Absolutely not. But I get why he came to that conclusion.
Yeah. And it is this, like, build up of frustration that really just came to a boiling point. It isn't I've secretly always hated you. It is like, the Royals have screwed this up for way too long. This person came in. You also did horrible things to him. You killed his father. You left him out there. And now he's, like, I can see why he might be a better king. I support him.
And it's not like he was like, we're overthrowing, this is a coup or anything. It was like, we want to do ritual combat, Yeah. Which was so awesome. I love that is how, as fucked up as Killmonger was, I do really love that they were like, we're doing ritual combat. And also how cool it was when T'Challa comes back, he's like, I didn't yield.
Yeah.
I'm not dead.
God, really love it again when they go to M'Baku and they say, like, there's an upstart to the throne. He took over. He murdered the king. And then M'Baku said, was it ritual combat? Yes. Well, that doesn't sound like he was murdered.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it works.
Like, the royal family, I get where they're coming from the whole time. But at the same time, I'm also like, it was ritual combat. You gotta respect it. If you're gonna respect it for all these other years, you gotta respect it for this time.
Like I can definitely.
If there's one thing you shouldn't, maybe the Zuri thing, like that was something that you might be able to be like, okay, hold on a second, but that the T'Challa thing was part of ritual combat.
Like I think there's a fair balance of like this is a tradition we will respect, but also my my son, my brother died. I don't care. I'm really mad.
Yeah,
it really is like I appreciated that the movie made me understand that like they are a little bit in the wrong, but at the same time I can feel for them. It's fine.
Yeah,
and like they didn't try to like. I think the fact that T'Challa did not yield really does save the movie from having this very weird tone of like, well, he had every right, and then you started a coup and overthrew him. Yeah. It is this like, no, this is the way the system works.
Yeah, and again, going back to Inhumans, one of the most frustrating things about Inhumans was throughout the entire time all the villains talking about like how fucked up the royal family is and what they need to change, and like people with their dying breaths being like, please change this, and then the end of it being like, yeah, we're not gonna change any of that shit actually.
Yeah.
Fuck those dying people.
That really is the ultimate dividing point, and it seems so stupidly obvious from a watcher's perspective of if everyone has a good point, maybe you should do it, or maybe you should go along with it, or at the very least like say at the end, like have a compromise, have some consideration.
Yeah.
As opposed to, all those people who seem to be making really good points? Nah.
Really appreciate this movie for actually sticking the landing.
Mm-hmm. So, Agent Ross?
Yeah.
I'll just direct...
going into this session, I was going to be like, explain to me why the white man is in this movie, but again, them trying to do the, CIA meddling in Africa and destabilizing stuff... I don't think I could. If that's what they were trying to do, I don't think they did a good job of it.
I will say it's partially that. Like, I can tie it back to the one line that we get when he wakes up and, like Shuri says, "You were a pilot and now you are a CIA agent." I will say those are the two parts of his character, or like the two reasons he's in the movie. The CIA thing is the like we need someone to talk about the CIA stuff. The pilot thing is that
Killmonger.
The pilot thing is that people really liked his character in the comics. Like, he is a Black Panther character.
Okay.
Specifically, like, I think a big weird part of it is also that he's very old in this movie, whereas in the comics, he is this 25-year-old who is, like, he hangs out with ambassadors, or, like, he protects ambassadors who come to America.
Okay.
And he's kind of just around to chill with T'Challa as he's in America. They do some shenanigans. There's a whole thing where they go to hell, and the devil gives him this pair of evil pants that he can't get off. He's about to shit himself, and he keeps on pulling off the pants.
What?
Every time he pulls off the pants, a new pair spawns on him. He's like, I'm gonna shit these pants.
What the fuck are comics?
But yeah, like, I think, like, Everett Ross is a more comedic character, and also more of just a, like... more of a bro, I guess. Whereas in this, he is definitely more of the, like, old white man who is finding this new culture. That's the other thing. Like, in the comics, because of how long they go on, like, there's nothing special about Ross learning that T'Challa is the Black Panther. Like, there is the clear, like, don't tell him about this. I'm gonna have to kill you if you tell him about this. But you are, like, the 50th white guy to know about this. It's not that big of a deal. Let's just chill. We're gonna go to hell for a bit. And then generally, like, Ross is kind of just, like, whenever there's a whole bunch of white dudes in a room talking about Wakanda, Ross is always the one who is there who's like, listen, don't fuck with Wakanda.
Alright. I don't care about Ross. Is he connected to, or is he related to General Ross?
Not at all.
Okay.
I actually did bring this up in Civil War.
Okay.
Unrelated characters.
Wait, he was in Civil War?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's where we first saw him.
Sure.
He was, they bring it up in this movie. He's the guy who T'Challa gave Zemo to.
Right.
He's also the guy who was, like, interrogating Zemo. He's like, did you really think you could win? And Zemo's like, didn't I?
I remember connecting that when they said that, and then I've completely forgotten it again. And you had to remind me now. This is what I mean by my memory is so I can get spoiled on something and then just completely forget it. I just watched this movie.
But I will say, a lot of people's criticism, like, one of the only criticisms people pretty universally have about the movie is they don't really know why Ross is here.
Yeah.
Like, I get from a writing perspective, like, okay, this, he plays a purpose, but you could have just not.
A very light purpose. I feel like they did too much with him. I feel like I would have been fine with him, except they just kept giving him more and more scenes. And even the hero scene, like, the spaceship scene was too much. As soon as, like, glass at 50%, I'm like, no, don't do it, put me back in. No!
I definitely think I would have enjoyed the movie more if it was a, like, he's there for the first half, but he doesn't do the whole flying thing.
Yeah.
Or if the flying thing is, like, a different Wakandan or something. It was a little too much.
I think I would have liked it if he was more like a Flash type, where he just, like, is constantly the butt of the joke.
Sure.
I feel like, having him have a hero moment is too much.
Yeah.
That's too far. You can have him in the movie, but giving him the hero moment was the moment where I went, this is too, you cannot. That felt like the, Iron Man's got to go get surgery in China. China's the only one who can save him. It felt so pandery.
Yeah. A black critic also brought this up, and I can never unthink this, which is that the king rules over, like all the Wakandans, all the war dogs. Even if they had lost, then Killmonger could have just said, okay, send out more weapons. Like, we have so much vibranium. If T'Challa wins, T'Challa could just tell all the war dogs, listen, guys, don't use the weapons.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't in 5 seconds they will attack all these countries.
That's what I kept saying, too.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not a time thing. Why is
Yeah.
this so big a deal? It's not a big deal.
And we do, it does create this weird thing where, this white guy has to shoot a bunch of black people.
I didn't think of that. Well, they were... Oh, no, is that what was going on? I for some reason thought they were, remote controlled, too. But I guess they might not have.
As far as I understand, the only one that was remote controlled was this, because
that's real fucked up.
Because the remote controlled beads are a new thing. Like, they bring up the remote controlled beads every
You're
time
right.
it's this big thing.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's so much more messed up.
They're fine.
Oh, that's so Jesus.
But yeah, it's Ross is the one weird misstep. He's definitely going to be in Black Panther 2, but I do hope it is a
Why?
He's a Black Panther character. I'm certain that I hope that he's just kind of for the occasional cutaway scene to America.
Oh, also the flying thing was strike 2, and you only get 2 strikes. Strike 1 was taking the bullet. Strike 1 was taking the bullet. Then that's why as soon as they said 50%, I was like, oh, this is gonna be the worst thing I've ever seen.
We also we get the quick line from Shuri of, "Oh, great, another broken white boy."
Yeah, which I didn't even register really. It was just kind of like a generic line to me. That glad to have Bucky at the end. Get that quick yes, he's awake.
Yeah.
He's chilling.
When I was watching the movie, I was a little bit scared the first time around that Bucky would show up and he would have a new arm and he would punch Killmonger.
Yeah, vibranium arm and
I was worried for the secret Hulk twist of Bucky is here and he's better now. I really appreciate that. Also that when we see him, he's not all better. He is still recovering.
Yeah.
It gives his trauma much more time to breathe. It makes it feel more real. He would need a long time to get over this.
Yeah.
Or to recover.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially mentally recover and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me a lot of in Golden Kamuy, a manga / anime.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot about the Japanese and the Ainu, which are the indigenous people of Japan. And there's a lot of stuff where big major characters will get an injury or something happens to them, and then we do see later on that it's okay, they are just living with the Ainu now, and the Ainu are just kind of taking care of them. And it is very much like Bucky here, where it's so many times I'm worried that it's going to be what are we going to do, and a plot sense here. But almost every time they've done it, it has been they're just chilling there. They're not a important character anymore. They're just kind of recuperating and getting better and ingraining themselves into the Ainu life more than I can't wait to get better and leave. It's more they're just I guess I'm just gonna live here forever now. And it reminds me a little bit of that of Bucky just feels totally chill there. He just feels like he is a part of them, and it doesn't feel weird. Yeah.
So, bit of a 616 thing.
Okay, hit me with it.
So, the kids, like, when they're, like, looking in on Bucky and harassing him, they call him White Wolf.
Right.
And that is a reference, too, in the comics, T'Challa's older adopted white brother.
Oh, no!
Basically, I mean, you've heard this one before. White boy with his parents are on a plane, crashes near an African country. He's the only survivor. In the comics, T'Challa's father, before they have any kids, finds this white boy and is like, you know what? Outside world sucks ass. I'm gonna take care of this kid. Why not? He raises this kid. He has his own kids. A white boy his name is Hunter.
Of course, yeah. Of course. Of course.
He has the struggle of being a white person growing up in this all-black country, which, I mean, I'm saying it in a mocking way. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He ends up being the leader of the War Dogs.
Okay.
Like, he is the White Wolf. You know, why no White Panther? He's a White Wolf.
Oh.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can't. I am just picturing the pitch meeting for this being. If you have not seen it, go look up the video. Why no White Panther? I can promise you, it's a good video. It's
sure.
not. It's not bad. It is good.
But yeah, so I will say definitely old Black Panther comics they're a mix. Like Steve Ditko and Stan Lee had their hearts in the right place with a lot of it. Like a lot of it was Black Panther started before the Black Panther movements, but they both come from the same vibe in which the Black Panthers realized we don't have any inherent power. Like if we peacefully protest, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because we don't have inherent power. Like a person who is respected by the world, by America, can peacefully protest and they'll get actual action because it's not about the protest. It's because they have this respect.
Yeah.
But if we are not armed, if we do not have some level of power from somewhere, nothing is ever going to change.
Yeah.
And Stan Lee and Steve Ditko had a similar train track thing of, we know black people, we love black people, we love like living in a community. Yeah.
I mean,
there's no way to say this in a way that sounds not weird.
I think what we have to say is also like having your heart in the good place. You can have your heart in the good place and still be doing something racist or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is like, but it is the it's better if you have your heart in the right place, and I'm willing to be like, okay, but you can also acknowledge, like, that's why, I'm laughing at this. I'm laughing at this because their heart is in the right place, and I'm glad, but it is also funny.
But yeah, like, their perspective was, we are writing these comics that feature America, but we're not showing Americans. We're showing a lot of white people and some very racist Asian stereotypes.
Of course.
We need to have a black character, and also, we don't want it to be someone who has to fight for his power and authority. We want it to be someone who is, like, respected because of who he is. Like, he is a king, and not in a mocking, like, pseudo, like, early American way of, ha, American king. Yeah. But a specific, like, he is respected, he is powerful, he has this without having to fight for it, and he will fight for other people. Like, it is that ethos of the end of the movie of, do we have enough power to protect ourselves and also, help the world?
Yeah.
They want to write someone who has, who does not have to worry about his secret identity or anything. Like, he has the power. If the world found out about Wakanda, they still wouldn't be able to do very much against Wakanda. Yeah,
like, also just post-scarcity, settings I really appreciate.
Yeah.
We've had to deal with it enough in fiction so long for the past ever. It's like, I know scarcity's a problem. Can you do it interestingly than another series has already done it? I highly doubt it. So I would rather be more interested in stuff like, that's why I'm thinking, I want the MCU to do more stuff with the arc reactors and stuff like that. It's like, that's the sort of shit that a lot of series don't do. It's still so unique. You can do stuff with it because no series does it.
Yeah.
And then everybody, I haven't seen it, the thing I'm about to say, but everybody always wants to be the thing of like, oh, you have to have this, you have to have blah, blah, blah for there to be drama. Like this. There has to be scarcity for there to be drama, But that's absolutely not true, as we can see here with Black Panther, or like Star Trek. I haven't seen Star Trek, but I know the number one thing about Star Trek is that it's post-scarcity it is a utopia, and there's no like strings like, oh, here's what's really going on.
And I will say, the parts of Star Trek that most people in the fandom hate are the ones where a writer comes in and they're like, we are going to put in some scarcity.
Yeah.
Like, we can't write a good plot if this is post-scarcity, so we're going to, like, have these people be stranded, or, like, they're running out of power, or, like, lots of different things where it is a clear, like, we don't believe that this can be post-scarcity. And also, like, a big thing in Star Trek is the idea that all the chains of command are good. Like, there is no evil admiral.
Yeah, like kind of like what we have here.
Yeah. And I mean, the original series immediately did a, like, we gotta do an evil admiral plot.
I hate so much when a series is such a consistent writing thing and then a writer comes in and goes, but what if that's not how it would really go?
I mean, again, like, you can tie it to so many things. It is the evil Superman problem in a way of, like, Superman is a post-scarcity being of, like, you know, of pure all good. Like, all he does is good. But what if we took away the thing that does all good?
Yeah, it's the number one thing I know about all that sort of stuff. Just people are tired of the bad superheroes. Like, it's just been done to death.
I'm curious to see what Black Panther 2 will do, because they definitely, like, they could do that, like, because they've opened the borders, like, scarcity may now exist, but I'm hoping they don't. I hope they keep it as a, like, within Wakanda is still paradise, and they, like, the struggle is how, like, we're not doing enough for the world, but we are doing stuff for the world.
I appreciate that nobody in this movie has said, we don't have enough vibranium.
Right.
Nobody said that. That was never a question to anybody.
Yeah.
It was if we open it up, that's going to make it harder to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really, really greatly appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, take a really quick break. All right, hit me with that out-of-universe trivia.
So, after Homecoming, Donald Glover and his brother, Stephen, co-wrote comedic additions to the script.
Okay.
The script was originally a lot more, like, not... Like, it was much more serious.
Oh no. Which one of them put in the "what are those" reference? That was so dated.
Yeah.
So, the MCU, I'm surprised, has gotten away with a lot of, like, they haven't done any actual out-of-universe memes. Which, I don't know if that's an out-of-universe, I guess that's an in-universe, I guess it happened in the MCU.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am not looking forward to more MCU movies if we're gonna get in the same way that you were dreading getting a Disney song in everyone. I am now dreading getting a "what are those" in every movie. Except it's gonna be something different.
Nah, don't worry, it's just Donald Glover.
That was so bad. That was so bad. That was the only part of this movie that I can say gets a 0 out of 10. Gets a -5 out of 10. Awful.
But yeah, I do think, like, if you're looking for it, it's it's not easy, but you can definitely sense some humor that is very, like, in character, and some humor where it's like, okay, Donald Glover had to spice that one up.
Yeah. But I think it still works.
Yeah, and I do think the movie is a lot better off because of it. Like,
oh yeah.
The current movie, as is, walks this, like, a very narrow line of, like, some of it's very dark, some of it's fun, some of it's got, you know, just straight up action, some of it's, like, big ol', like, familial plots.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
There is a hell of a lot. And yeah, I think it really works. Also, completely unrelated entirely, but the scene where Killmonger is first introduced is so insanely strong because I was immediately able to tell that it was Killmonger and going to be our main villain in the movie from just him being like, tell me about these artifacts. Like, just that. And just being like, oh, hey, what's up? Tell me about these artifacts. I'm like, okay, well, this is our main bad guy.
Yeah.
Simply because, I mean, like, also, too, that was also because I knew, like, he was a little bit justified going into it, so I was, like, reading into it a little bit more.
Right.
But they made just somebody going around, like, compare that to, like, the Fisk, in Daredevil, the art museum. It's not...
she was an art dealer.
Yes. So. Well, what's the word? It's not an art museum. It's an art...
Exhibition?
Gallery. Sort of.
Right.
But yeah, like, very similar sort of scene, but nowhere near as tense. Like, it's only as tense when it's Matt and Fisk, like, together and everything.
Yeah.
But this is just so tense by himself in the place.
Yeah, I think that's such a good scene to get a grasp on his character, and at the same time, like, because it is a heist, but it's a heist you don't understand until it's over, or until like it's in the second half.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool way of shooting it, because it is this constant progression of what exactly is happening here. Like, what is this? Like, is this a guy that's going to be stopped by Black Panther, or like, what's with the medics? Okay, I guess the medics are in on it too.
Yeah, like that was again, a big thing about this movie is making me think like that something seems stupid, or like, you know, what is the plan here? What, like, how is this part of his plan? How is he gonna have the ability to get all these artifacts out of here? And then you just slowly, you know, yeah,
I think it
really
is
well done with that.
Like,
also, the very beginning of the movie with the cold open before the Marvel logo and everything, with the twist in that of, you know, like who is actually I can't remember his name, but no, it was Jury with him, you know, doing the lip thing and everything. Like that was such a good twist immediately.
I think the movie's also very intentionally designed to be a movie where you talk about it afterwards. Like, I remember when it came out, a lot of Twitter especially, like a lot of Reddits, it was a lot of people who went and saw the movie, and then afterwards they were like, okay, so my mom didn't realize that the kid in the apartment was Killmonger until we talked about it after the movie. Like, it was a lot of, like, it is very dense, and there are a lot of things you can get confused about, but at the same time, like, it isn't, like, if you're watching very carefully, you can get all of it, and it is something where if you go with a group, you can definitely all figure it out afterwards.
Yeah.
It's not, like, there are very few,
and I think they did,
things,
with the family stuff, I think they did a really good job of hammering it in without it being, like, too over the, like, without being too beating you over the head with it, but they made it very clear, like, the familial relations and everything like that, and because I am very bad about that, especially when it comes to, like, uncles and cousins and everything like that. My brain is like, what is that connection again? What is an aunt? You know, I have to do that, like, every time. So I really appreciate them spelling it out for me, and, you know, being like, this was this character, and this is this character, this is the relation to this character, and that's the relation to this character. Even though you should be able to make that out, we're going to tell you. Like, I needed that. I am too dumb for familiar relations. It gets so complicated for me.
The writers also, like, understood that a lot of people watching this are going to be, like, people who are not African.
Sure.
And African names can be, like, hard for people to, like, remember very consistently, because they're not, like, you know, very casual, like, they're not very Western names. If you're watching movies, you probably know a lot of Western names by heart.
Yeah, sure.
So they wanted to make a strong point of, like, we're going to use, like, traditional African names. These people all have, like, these names. They're going to be using them. And we're going to make it clear, like, who is who, without really needing to, like, do a quick, like, by the way, my cousin.
Yeah. And I do really appreciate that, because, again, I am terrible with that sort of stuff. I went through half of Civil War without realizing that was General Ross. And they said, this is General Ross. Yeah. I mean, they didn't say General. They're like, this is whatever Ross. And I'm just like, duh, okay, new character. You know, I do that constantly. It's so bad for me, especially with older people. Like, old white dudes all look the exact same to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't really have much of a problem with this, because there wasn't actually really any old people in this movie, to be fair. I was expecting a lot of, like, elder stuff in this movie, but there wasn't much, like, elders, really.
Yeah, like, the elders that we see a lot are also, like, they have very distinct designs, and they don't, like, there's not a whole lot of talking with them. Yeah. You can pretty clearly just look at them and go, like, okay, I remember him, or I remember her.
Or, like, Luke Cage has a lot of very samey designs.
Yeah.
Like, it's Harlem, but everybody just kind of looks the same. They didn't really do a great job with Luke Cage. And whereas this, everybody has such distinctive designs and everything like that. You know, it's like, I have that problem so much with the MCU, where it's just, you know, again, Stephen Strange, Tony, and, you know, now even fucking, like, Banner, like, they're just all sort of feeling so samey. Like, seeing Banner in Tony's shirt was just like, they're just so similar. It's just a little bit chubbier Tony.
Oh, yeah.
But, okay, next trivia.
Next trivia is that of all the movies that were sold to companies back before Marvel Studios, Marvel is just like, we're going out of business, we are running out of money, in order to keep printing comics, we gotta get rid of these rights for a bit. Black Panther was actually one of the first ones that they got back in 2005.
Okay.
We never really got a Black Panther movie when they sold the rights. There was one in the 90s, like, there was plans to do one in the 90s featuring Wesley Snipes.
Okay.
But the main thing that stopped it from really launching off was that they couldn't really do Wakanda, from what I understand.
That makes sense.
Like, if they were going to do anything, they were aiming for more of a like the arcs where it is like Black Panther in America just doing stuff, and we know he's a king, but we don't really see it.
I imagine that's why nobody was like, let's do Thor movies, you know?
Yeah.
Be kind of difficult.
Yeah. And I do think there's also, like, because he is the first black Marvel hero, one of the first black heroes overall, like, you know, you can wiggle around, you can say stuff, but, like, most people think of Black Panther as the first big one.
Most influential, probably.
Yeah, definitely most influential. Because of that, there was this big respect of, like, well, if we're going to do Black Panther, we gotta do it right.
Yeah.
But how in the world do we do this? It wasn't until this movie, and even then, like, Ryan Coogler, like, part of the reason why he reached out and got so many actual African people, African artists, and, like, to work on this movie was because he wanted to make sure this was a hit.
It seems like they were doing the Doctor Strange thing of the classic white people thing of, we don't want to be racist, so we're just gonna not do anything with black people.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, but I figure it, that's how history is, and how most now is still.
Yeah.
But anything else? You have like a note here about the ancestral plane. I think the ancestral plane, we talked about it already, but was probably one of the most highlights of the whole thing. Like, also just the idea that they can talk to their relatives in the ancestral plane, and they weren't like they didn't do is this really happening or is it not? It doesn't matter, you know. They did, like, the Thor thing is definitely more of like is this Thor having a like dream sort of thing going on? But yeah, with this, it's just so much more like, it doesn't matter, it's real to them, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, like I think
if there is any difference if they think it's real versus it might as well be.
I think one of the most important lines, not even directly in reference to the ancestral plane, but vaguely around it, is T'Challa saying, "I cannot speak for the past kings."
Yeah.
Because theoretically, like, if you were to go deep into it, you could say, well, what if he goes to the ancestral plane and talks to the kings?
You could ask him, yeah.
But like, it is a clear, like, he can do that, but that is more of a, like, emotional thing. It is a, like, I get to talk to my father again, or I can, call upon this, like, my ancestors in a vague sense. But it isn't a, like, I'm going to go consult with all the other kings and see what's going on.
And it seems like it's a thing that you do when you get the Black Panther power, and it's a very quick thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's also not like why doesn't Doctor Strange go to that dimension or this dimension? It is a, like, it's a very personal thing that happens once.
Yeah.
Or it should happen once.
And you are being suffocated while it's happening.
Yeah.
So, like, you have a very limited amount of time that you can be there. And it probably is like you are dying sort of thing.
Yeah. Like, I definitely do see it as a, like, the power of the heart-shaped herb is going to revive you, but, like, at the same time, it is, like, like, when the power goes in or comes out, like, your veins get all black.
Yeah.
It seems like it is also kind of killing you while it's bringing you back.
Yeah. That's what it seems like. I also love the just constantly taking away the power and bringing it back.
Yeah.
Like, it just happens so much throughout the movie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyways, I wanted to say about the ancestral plane that a big part, like, it is supposed to be a mix of the sunsets of Africa combined with the northern lights.
Okay.
Like, it is this combination of something that is extremely African and something that isn't, in order to give it a, like, very eerie, very, like, otherworldly energy.
It does have that, yeah. I wouldn't have guessed that, but that's a good way to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it feel very, afterlife as well. I mean, yeah, it absolutely does. It looks beautiful.
It gives it that, like, very purple tint, like the heart-shaped herb, that we don't really see anywhere else in the movie. Like, even the mines are more of a, like, blue.
Yeah. I actually like that also that, like, time changes in that world, too. Like, it's not like it's always night or always day or something.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
It doesn't, like... I really love how so much of Black Panther has this energy of mystery to it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can tell that all the tribes have this, like, they're all separate tribes, they all, like, have things going on with them, but the movie doesn't spell it out, and it isn't a, like, well, there's a plot hole here, because I don't understand which tribe Zuri's from. It is this, like, there's an answer there, it's just, you don't get to know it right now.
And, like, a lot of the mystery stuff isn't... It's stuff you can come to an answer on your own. Whereas, like, Doctor Strange stuff, it's like, I don't know how he's doing any of this magic. I don't know how any of this shit... Especially in Thor, where it's like, I don't know how he's doing any of this. Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I also really appreciate the blend of, like, traditional mysticism and super technology in Wakanda.
Yeah. The only thing I don't understand, like, legitimately, I don't have, like, an answer as to what it could possibly be, is the shield thing. That's, like, the only thing, and that is, I'm willing to go with it because everything else is so much more like I can kind of come up with in my head, like, a why this would work sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, in the world of the MCU, it seems like energy barriers are just a thing.
Yeah, I'm just like, of course they do. Of course they have energy barriers. It's fine. The way they do it is so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, the big old cape where they just so cool.
Yeah. The filmmaking team cited the Godfather films and the James Bond films as having like very heavy influence on the story. And
okay.
I think James Bond is very apparent when Sherry's giving like T'Challa all the new gear and stuff. Like that felt like a very big like.
Also the deal.
Yeah. Like definitely the first third had the most James Bond energy to it.
I can see that.
And then the Godfather, I think, is mostly just like the interpersonal conflicts.
I guess that feels very loose, but
yeah, because the Godfather is also more of like this epic. Well, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, this was a very epic movie.
Mm-hmm. I think they did a good job of like making it feel epic while also like having the family be very small.
Yeah.
Like I think that really
that's a good job.
That helps so much with making it digestible and easy to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it absolutely felt like an epic. I do think that, but just in a much different way than The Godfather is.
Very early on, Ryan Coogler did want to throw in Kraven the Hunter from Spider-Man.
Oh, I know Kraven the Hunter
because like. He like Claw, he has this very like white guy in Africa exploiting the world vibe.
Yeah.
This was like super early on, and very early he was like, "Okay, can we do that? No. All right, the whole Sony stuff. You know what? I'm not going to pursue it any further. We're just not doing it."
All right. Yep.
It was a very quick like.
Fair, but that's a good idea.
Yeah. I appreciate that he didn't do a James Gunn and just go like, you know what? We don't have the rights. We're doing it. I'm gonna make the whole movie hinge on Kraven.
Yeah. Okay, I think that is it for the movie notes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do your classic of what's going to happen next?
Yeah. So, ignoring... I mean, this is a big ignore. But ignoring Infinity War, ignoring Endgame.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, those don't affect anything, really.
Yeah,
very small movies.
Don't affect anything. Yeah, so little.
What do you think... could go on in Black Panther 2, like the
again, I know Chadwick Boseman is dead, so I know that they did say they're not going to use him, right? That they're absolutely not. Yeah. What did they say specifically?
They said they're not going to do a CGI resurrection of him.
Okay, now that does mean that they could still use his voice clips and have him in a suit.
I will say, by the way, like 100%, like coming out of the movie, everyone was like, okay, in Black Panther 2, someone's got to go to the ancestral plane. We got to see Killmonger again. Like, don't bring him back because he didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
Like, let him stay dead, but we got to see him again. We got to have him in the background or something. And ever since Chadwick Boseman died, like the big like elephant in the room has been, what happens if someone goes to the ancestral plane?
Yeah, I think just have him be a panther, and not transform. I think that's fine. Just say he doesn't want to talk.
Yeah, because like if they do kill him off, like the other thing is they could do a War Machine and just silently replace him.
Yeah, that's gonna be weird.
Yeah, I think like especially because he is such a.
Especially because also it would be really weird. Like War Machine was a secondary character, especially a very secondary character when they replaced him. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean like. To be fair, they replaced the Hulk, and he had a main movie,
They did, but also,
he only had one movie.
And they also treat the Incredible Hulk very differently, like, as a movie. Like, it is part of the MCU, but it is, like, they don't acknowledge it in the same way.
I mean, they kind of do.
Like, the characters are still there, it is canon, but they don't, like, reach back to it a whole lot.
I mean, they did in Avengers, and they, have at other points, too. But either way, it is different because that was one movie, and then next time we see Hulk was in a team-up, and then same actor going forward. Whereas this is, he would have been in Civil War, Black Panther, and Infinity War, Endgame, and then assumingly, but he would have been in Black Panther too. So like that's 4 movies before the 5th one.
Yeah,
it's like that's a hard one to do. I don't think they can. I don't think you can at this point.
Yeah,
you got to do new Black Panther. T'Challa's dead. Who I don't know who would be, the person to take it up though.
Yeah, like
I don't know. M'Baku would actually be really interesting.
My current picks are like, number one, I think Shuri would be a good Black Panther.
Okay, yeah.
Like, she doesn't have the strength, but she has the mind, and I think that could be like the focus of she hasn't been doing the training. She never thought this would happen, but now she's thrust into the situation.
I do fully expect to see Shuri in like Infinity War or something. Like, she seems like she might be the like a guy in the chair with a girl in the chair. If we have like a whole team of those, then I feel like that's what, or if those characters stick solely for the solo movies. But it feels like we're trying to do more of that stuff of like the. You know, I wanted them to stick more with that with Banner. Like, let Banner have more of a guy in the chair role, and then like, you know, he can have like a one Hulk thing, but like that was a problem with the end of Thor. Of, like, he didn't need to do the big kitty fight or big dog. I don't even remember what it was.
It was a big doggo, I believe.
I don't remember. Either way, yeah. What were we talking about?
Black Panther 2. Who could be Black Panther?
Yeah, I think Shuri is possible. I like M'Baku a lot. I think it's so different that I really like that. But I think Nakia or Shuri is more likely.
Yeah, I do really like it because they were like this close to having M'Baku take it. Like, if T'Challa was not in the ice, they would have definitely made him Black Panther, or the successor.
Also, all the heart stuff is burned up though.
Yeah, but I mean, they have technology. Like, they can probably clone it.
True, okay, yeah. Fair.
Like, I think that it's definitely Killmonger wanted it to be the end, but I'm sure that if Shuri tries hard enough, she can figure out a way to get more.
Yeah. Good point.
Or, I mean, legitimately, if they say, that's it, no way to clone him, what if we just have, you got the suit, and you have, it's all technology, because they can't get that stuff back.
Or it could be you have to grind up the heart of T'Challa. Now we can only have one, and if you die, you have to take that body and grind it up.
No, I don't like it.
But, yeah, I think most likely, Shuri, Nakia, my want M'Baku. I think it's so different.
We've talked a fair bit about the future of Wakanda a little bit, but I am curious. What do you think they will do with the outreach programs and stuff? Like, what would your ideal be, I guess?
My true guess is that we're not going to get to see it, and that it's going to, Infinity War is going to start up, and they're going to be like, I can't believe we have this new outreach program, and Thanos is going to do a big beam and blow it up, and they're going to go, damn it.
I'm going to tell you right now, it would, I would be so mad if I was W'Kabi and I said, listen, if we reveal ourselves to the public, someone's going to shoot a laser beam at us, we're going to be ruins. And T'Challa's like, no, don't worry, it'll be fine. And then as soon as they go to the UN and they announce themselves, Thanos shows up and drops, a meteor on Wakanda.
I mean, they've dealt with a meteor before.
More meteors.
But yeah, that is my true guess, is that we're not going to get to find out, and it's going to be destroyed or something, or that the world is going to be so bad off by the time Endgame happens that it's going to be like, we got bigger bombs, can't think of an outreach right now.
Yeah, there's always been a struggle in the Marvel comics, especially in 616, trying to reconcile this long history with the fact that, unlike DC, Marvel really wants a universe that feels like our universe.
Yeah.
DC is more willing to go, you know what? This entire war in the past didn't actually happen. Or, in this universe, it didn't happen because it was solved by Superman.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvel wants you to be able to go, okay, what, in our world, what happened in the past, we can also just assume that happened in this universe. And that's very hard to reconcile with stuff like, Ant-Man existing in the 60s.
Yeah.
So I am curious about, where is the limits to advancement in the MCU?
Yeah, because we're very advanced.
There is, as you've said multiple times, you can only have so much infinite energy until there's the question of, why does Donald Glover's character in Homecoming have to buy gas? You can still have, poor people, but eventually it's going to get to the weird point of, well, why do rich people need to buy gas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also, the thing of, they could be making, Tony could be making more money off of the infinite energy, but it's from a writing perspective, they have to have him be very, I'm not letting anybody have energy, or else it's gonna, create a lot of plot holes.
Yeah.
But, so Tony just has to be a real, that's, again, in order for so much of the plot to work, Tony just has to be one of the worst people in the world.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like a lot of people are able to just ignore that, but you know, it's hard. I can't just like look past it.
And I mean, the movies do also cast Tony in a pretty dark light, like, you know, in Civil War, in Homecoming, to an extent. Not as dark as you see him.
Yeah.
But they do have to concede, like, yeah, this is a bad look, and we gotta acknowledge it to some extent.
Some extent.
Sure.
I feel like Tony is becoming. Tony was a very like Walter White character where it's very obvious that you're not supposed to, you know, root for them and like they are a bad person. Whereas I feel like they're becoming more of a, I don't have an example for it, but more of a like, this is a bad person, we're going to acknowledge they're a bad person, but we're also going to want you to go like, this person's really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Which,
like,
yeah.
I feel like Breaking Bad walked, and even then, Breaking Bad still has so many people that like root for Walt and all that. But like, it does a very fine line of making them do cool things, and then at the very same time having that be outweighed by all the uncool stuff the characters do.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Walt being a very tidy whities kind of character. You know, he is a very old, grumpy. You know, he has a lot of moments that make him look very stupid and dumb. Whereas like, Tony is really getting away from that, you know?
Yeah.
It's really becoming way more like, you know, we will acknowledge he's a bad person, but that's going to be overweighed by the vast majority of things we're making him look cool doing.
And I do think, like, it is definitely a push of, you gotta have Iron Man be cool and be someone where kids are gonna want to, you know, have stuff that is Iron Man themed.
Yeah.
Like, you can only like have him be at a certain point of bad before he's just a bad character that people don't like.
Yeah, I think that's also a really good example. Is, you know, the kids are not like, oh, I want to get my Walter White action figure to play around with and be like, oh, Walter, come save me. You know, like that. I think that's their problem. Is like, you know, we're acknowledging it, but we're still, you know, treating Iron Man like he is a hero that 5-year-olds should be looking up to in the MCU. And when I see a, you know, kid watching a trailer and they're like, oh, Iron Man, yeah, I'm like, oh, no, what are you doing? You're ruining the kids. It feels so, like, you know, I mean, the MCU is very military propaganda. It is huge military propaganda. And I feel like we're slowly starting to get away from that a little bit.
Yeah.
Very slowly. But and then a lot of the other movies we're getting very closer towards it. Oh, so much closer towards it. So it's interesting now that we're getting into this, like with Black Panther here. You know, where the MCU is going in two very different directions, and they keep butting heads.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to see what's going to happen with that as we're going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is also really the heart of comics, and especially the heart of, you know, the Marvel Universe comics, where you have a bunch of different people who want to do very different things, and you've got the Overlord who is like, you know what, you can. But then,
as you just talked about with Star Trek and like the, you know, wanting to write the scares, there's always going to be the people who want to fuck it up.
Yeah, like I am fascinated with how the MCU, being such a smaller sandbox than the comics, does have to reconcile things more. But at the same time, they do have the freedom to say, like, hey, we're going to do this movie that says this, we're going to do this movie that says that. They're different things. Someone else might have to fix that one. Yeah. Or sometimes they just don't. Like, it is fascinating.
It is, yeah. That is why I'm doing these now. It is fascinating to watch the like changes and everything. Yeah. And anything else? I guess I should. I will say, by the way, Infinity War not coming out next week. Probably coming out 2 weeks from now, or maybe like a week and a half. I'm gonna try and get it out whenever I can. I'm not actually sure when this one is scheduled. 2 weeks at maximum. But I'm gonna try and get it out before then. But it's gonna be. I mean, the reaction is going to be not much longer, but it's like the amount of time where I'm going to definitely have to rewatch the movie. You're going to be taking a hell of a lot of notes. I'm going to have to take notes for this one finally, I feel like.
Yeah.
I've been getting away with just having you take the notes and me bounce off you, but I feel this one I got to take my notes. It's going to take me a little bit longer. It's going to be a hell of a long one. And this is Infinity War. It's going to be a bit.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks maximum. I'm going to try and get it out sooner than that. And then we'll be, you know, back to once a week for the movies till Endgame. There's just 2 movies in between, right?
Yeah. I mean, someone will absolutely correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Infinity War, then we got Ant-Man and the
Wasp, and
Captain
then
Marvel, and then Endgame.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, that is the plan. 2 weeks maximum for Infinity War, back to normal schedule for those 2 movies, another 2 weeks for Endgame, and then back to normal schedule for Spider-Man Far From Home, and then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Okay. I think it's just called Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know.
Into the Spider-Verse, yeah.
But either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then Into the Spider-Verse is what I'm calling the end of my, like, the movies.
Sure.
And then we'll go back to the TV show stuff.
Okay.
Probably gonna be doing the TV show stuff once a week.
I'm
I'm gonna tell you that right now. Brace yourself. I'm not gonna go back into 2 weeks. It's one a week. You can deal with it. I'm sorry.
They haven't really been picking up a lot of traction.
Yeah, they don't pick a lot of traction. Nobody really talks about it that much. So if you guys want to see more of them, comment and discuss on the TV show stuff. I mean, it's a ways away when I get to it, but. And no Shield. I'm not doing Shield. If I'm doing Shield, it's going to be after all the TV shows, so expect it years from now. Till next time, Infinity War. What do I think is going to happen in Infinity War? I feel like you should save that for my pre-Infinity.
I think you should.
I'll say that at the beginning of my Infinity War discussion. What I think is going to happen.
Because also, you might need some time to remember all the characters.
Yeah.
Go like, okay, what's happening?
Off the top of my head right now, it's going to be a bit of a But I'm going to try and do a breakdown of like, here's where I think each character is going. Here's how I think the movie's going to start. Here's how I think the character's going to tie together, and here's how I think the movie's going to end. I think those are the 3 I should touch on for sure. And yeah, I gotta say, not excited for Thanos, but I'm excited to see them try and make me care about Thanos.
Oh boy.
So
we'll see.
That was my thing. I was like, is Thanos gonna be in this? Like, are they gonna do a thing with Thanos at the end of this movie, or are we not? And no. So now I'm curious because we can't just jump into Infinity War like Thanos is already here. You know this is happening. Let's just do it. They have to establish it. So there's going to be some part of the movie without Thanos already. I'm very curious as to how they're going to make me care about Thanos. I will see you guys for that. Until then, get the fuck out of here.